sun is numb, the Keurig's clean, your dog is dead, it's a Ponzi screen. Ponzi screen, Ponzi screen, because it's just something to do.
You can have whatever you like. Say you can have whatever you like.
What a throwback.
Drinks on me, Patron on ice. Danny, you want to just put in the audio instead of me singing?
I'm going to put in... can you put in... You can't, like... That's definitely a copyright issue or something like that.
Oh,
so it's like...
Shit. I just made those... For copyright purposes, I just made those words up and that melody up. A pure coincidence.
No. The words are fine. It's like I can't drop it in. Maybe I'll just put in some like nice polka music and right as you are saying those lyrics.
Yeah, okay.
Or something like I'm going to put in something fun. It'll be great.
All right, that sounds good.
We can auto-tune you.
Yeah. Is auto-tune...
Oh,
Has auto-tune been copyrighted?
That's a really good question, actually, David, because I feel like some weird like pedal board person probably originally came up with it, and then T-Pain like fucking he ran for the hills with that situation, and that was it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just like some weird My Bloody Valentine guy in the background, like, no, I made auto tune, no, and his pedal board is like one part of his wall, you know.
What song? You're not saying that My Bloody Valentine did auto tune. You're saying that a guy as of or related to My Bloody Valentine.
Haven't you ever heard of their pedal board Look, I'm already on a deviation here that could really lead us down into a very dark hole.
Welcome to Ponzi Scream, everyone. Welcome to Ponzi Scream. With us today is friend of the show, Lucie Steiner. How you doing, Lucy?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Oh, good vibes.
I'm pretty good.
I just did a bunch of reading about the world being on fire, so that has me in a good mood.
Oh yeah. Where were you reading about that?
You assigned it to me, David.
You assigned it. You cruel mistress. I will say,
David's one of the best friends you can have, and so is Danny, in that they just text you gloomy articles at all hours of the day and night.
Yeah.
With the messages, check this out, LOL.
It's their global goth is really what we're getting at. It's very gloomy.
Yeah, I will say, as a person who has literally lived on every state in the West Coast, I'm not. Look, I don't mind I like living here now. if smoke is just part of one of the seasons now, which was literally starting like the year that I left. I don't need that. I don't need that 500 parts per million, you know, like particulate situation, like worse than Beijing on the destroy everything like industrial factory day. Like, ooh,
well, you know what's really gross about the smoke is that it's not just like that hickory or that mesquite or that applewood. You know, it's like, do you need these plastics and boron and just disgusting like iPhone parts melting and filling the air with toxins.
Yeah, none of those scents go with a nice bourbon.
right.
Yeah,
right. I'm getting a nice like a plastic Tonka truck type on the nose.
No, I always just picture the guy outside of like Gresham, Oregon, with the grill. And like there's a forest fire in the background. He's just like, oh, this is gonna be good. Sausage Link's like, yeah, get that flavor in there.
The photos were. I mean, I think that we all have seen the photos of like San Francisco. It looks like the whole city is in like a photo lab. That's how like dark and red that color was. Really, just I mean. If I didn't know that the apocalypse would actually come with the cinematography of Blade Runner, I thought that would be a little bit of an affect, you know. But it truly is the exact same color palette.
Yeah. One of the most gloomy photos I saw was a bunch of migrant workers who are in the middle of this fog, and they are using their smartphone flashlights as they're hunched over picking
Jeez.
cucumbers in the fields.
Oof. This really is like getting more and more like the first chapter of a sci-fi novel. It's like when you're just kind of building the world, like you're just kind of like, this is what the world is in 3036. You know, it's like the sky is red, and you're like, ooh, that's different.
Yeah. I read a tweet. There's the Deltron 3030 hip hop album, and somebody tweeted that the album came 1,000 years early.
That's very, very good.
Yeah, that really is what this feels like. It's like we just,
yeah. Whoever was the guy who did the color correction for the movie Traffic is just like, yes, this is what I wanted all the time.
Yeah, I saw a good tweet that was like, I didn't realize that the apocalypse would be so filled with people referencing other pieces of apocalyptic art.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like there was never like a scene in like an apocalypse movie where they're like, this is so like 1984, man.
Yeah.
That happens often too much these days. So let's go into something more fun, I guess, for now.
For now.
For now, we're going to circle back to the good stuff.
But for now, it's time for shots of Patron to get us ready. Are we pre-gaming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude. So the rapper T.I., best known for Live Your Life, Swagger Like Us, Whatever You Like, was on Robin Thicke's #1 single, Blurred Lines. All of our favorite music that we still listen to every single day. This man is in a $75,000 settlement over allegedly selling a fraudulent cryptocurrency. Basically,
no, T.I., you can't do that. T.I., I don't know if you guys know, but like, did you ever did you catch that sort of weird news blurb where T.I. was just sort of like, yeah, my daughter, her hymen is still intact. She hasn't had sex yet.
Yeah.
Is that him?
I was just going to say,
anything
to keep his mind off his daughter's vagina, in my opinion, is a good thing.
It's like,
as long as he leaves that poor girl alone, get into as many cryptocurrency scams as you want, baby boy.
Yeah, you're like, that's a healthy hobby. That's a healthy hobby. Crypto scams.
Wait. So he has his wife. His wife has a very particular, funny first name. It's like Bunny or Baby or something like. Ooh, what's what? I gotta look this up. Continue.
It's something that like the girl would be named in a Rob Zombie movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he basically has settled these charges that they were alleging that that he and 4 other associates that said that they had controlled the companies Flick and CoinSpark that conducted this initial coin offerings, which T.I. promoted. So basically, he lied about having ownership over this coin offering, claiming to be a Flick co-owner and urging his followers to invest in the coins. This is illegal because, as all of us do when we're thinking about our next, financial investments, when we're thinking about, especially what currencies to invest in for the future, we're thinking about what rappers in 2013 we're investing in. And that's the most important determinant for all of our investment activity. I think we can all agree to that, right?
Yes, that's all. The first thing I look at every day before E-Trade.
Yeah,
I look at what the.
I check out Bismarcky's Twitter feed. I go way back. I'm old school. I'm like, what's he into? Is it Ethereum today? Let's do it.
His name. All right. First off, Tiny is his wife's name. and that's because she is literally 4'11". Okay. She's very tiny. And I will say this, T.I. does not get that much taller than her. So there is no way that this man is above 5'5". And honestly, Cryptocurrency, that's a short man's game. All right.
Yeah, it really is. My mom is 4'10", and her name is Anne. I don't understand.
Oh my God, your short ass mom, David.
She should be called Tiny. She's
all
called
of you guys,
Tiny now.
You guys are all making really valid points. I got some soul searching to do about my mom. I'm gonna give her a call after this.
Tiny Bradley Isenberg. Which is also the name of the banjo player in my bluegrass band.
Yeah, dude, hell
yeah.
We're from Brooklyn. One of our like the mandolin player lived in Alabama for 6 months on study abroad.
And you know what? The people there, they taught him more than he taught them.
Yeah, so basically these Flick tokens, which I don't like it for one reason. First off, it's called Flick. Shut the fuck up. That's disgusting. Second off, it's capital F, capital L, lowercase I, capital K. Okay? I don't understand why you need to have the I in the lowercase. This whole thing about spelling and capitalization in different parts of the word all started with Apple, and it's done. It's over. I'm canceling this. I'm canceling the lowercase I right now. I'm tired of it.
No, it didn't start with Apple. It started with like people like myself, like Scene Children in 2004, having their like message board name be like despondent reader. You know, like you can tell which is uppercase and lowercase based off of like my inflection.
Oh my God, I would love to find Mark Zuckerberg's like emo Zanga account.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no difference.
Well, isn't that the whole first part of the Social Network? Is him like spilling his guts on LiveJournal?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He was yep, horny and judgmental.
By the way, my eyes are tearing up tremendously right now, and I'm pretty sure it's because I just touched an onion. But for the duration of this podcast, I'd like you to imagine that I'm just crying over the beautiful works of T.I. I'm reflecting on the catalog of T.I., and it's making me emotional.
Yeah.
It's giving you a very Zizek vibe on this Zoom.
Yes.
The sublimated hip hop discourse.
What is the difference between a hip hop band putting a Z at the end of the word to replace the S, and white people putting a tiny little I instead of a capital I at the beginning of their words?
This is the contradiction inherent in all of capitalism.
Rapping about big booties is not inherently revolutionary.
Yeah. Why would you? No. It's like why would you put the PlayStation 2 in the back of the headrest when it immediately becomes obsolete? Yes. Yeah. That's ludicrous. I'm sorry, but.
Well, now that we all got our ludicrous impressions in, so Flick tokens were sold as investment contracts in the company. Okay, so basically, one thing that you can do with Bitcoin and with all these companies is you can either have, when you buy the coin, it's like buying a part ownership of the company itself.
Yeah.
Or you can have it where you are basically buying it as if you were buying a currency, but you don't have like shareholder privileges like you would if you were buying a stake in the company. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I think I know what you're talking about, David, because oddly enough, I actually have shares, private shares, in the company that I used to work for. Like I got stock options.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have a lot of them. I think I have maybe like 7 shares of it, but it's like I haven't worked at this place for 4 years now. But every once in a while, I'll get an email and be like, "Oh, here's an update on your private shares that don't exist on the stock market yet."
Oh yeah.
So, which is funny about like the initial coin offering scene, because it just sounds like stock options with like no regulation at all. Like they could immediately just like crumble out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's the weird thing about Bitcoin, like cryptocurrencies, is that they're it's sometimes an unproven technology. Other times it's totally meaningless in its applicability, and it really does just end up becoming an investment firm. Like there's a lot of these coins, most of them, I would argue, have no transactional purpose. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in like 2014, for like 6 months, there were 3 bodegas in Williamsburg that would take Bitcoin. And besides that, it hasn't ever really transpired where you can actually use Bitcoin to exchange goods or services, except for like on the black market for heroin and or children, right? I mean, like there's no good use for these things as a currency themselves.
And to be fair, all of those bodegas in Brooklyn were selling exclusively organs and children.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Like right underneath the Boar's Head deli meat counter. There was a secret door where you can get those sweet breads.
The only transactional fortune people have made with Bitcoin is kind of similar to what you're saying, David, which in like 2014, I remember there was a fucking like poutine cart in Portland, Oregon that was like, you could pay in Bitcoin or we'll give you a Bitcoin. But I remember they're like, hey, we'll give you change in a Bitcoin, and that was when Bitcoin was worth like one coin was equal like $7. And then this person forgot about it, and then they immediately became a $10,000 like 6 years later. That's like the only transactional good that has happened from like Bitcoin.
Yeah, a $10,000 is a pathetic moniker. That is so lame. I don't know what,
dude.
The 10,000 air? I don't know, man.
10,000 air? Dude, I'll take that any day of the week.
Just yeah, but you don't get the title. Just say you have $10,000. You're just a person.
If Danny got $10,000, I can imagine him. Everything would be the same, except he would have a pimped out Vespa.
Or oh my god, dude, I'd have a Sprinter van in a second. No, I take that back. I need $50,000 to make my Sprinter van the way I want it. But yeah, you know I'm a van guy.
When you're a 50,000 air.
Yeah. Yeah, you know when I got 50 racks. See, does that sound weird, David? It sounds weird when sounds weird when I say I have 50
I like
racks,
to say I got 50 steaks in the oven or in the freezer.
I like
a lot of steaks.
Yeah, that I like.
Yeah, okay. I'm fine with that. $1,000 just doesn't roll off the tongue nicely. I'd rather you say racks, you know? Like so anyways, they were doing Flick tokens. Again, I'm not happy about the name. And basically the company claimed it would operate as a quote Netflix on the blockchain, which just sounds like they did Mad Libs.
It just seems like they stole a red box. And they put it in front of somebody's house.
A streaming platform where users could buy products and services with Flick tokens. Okay,
it really is just like a business mashup Netflix, like it's a business mashup Mad Libs, where it's just like it's a Netflix JP Morgan Chase enterprise.
Yeah, and also I love it when people like to try to associate themselves with like a proven concept like Netflix or streaming services, where it's like it's sort of like in the back of everybody's head that like Netflix operates on a precarious like operational like fluidity, where they're just sort of like, oh boy, if people stop caring about comedy, we are fucked, you know? Or like, we better hope that Adam Sandler's movie is just dog shit and not horribly dog shit. And then the only other streaming services are like NBC, who are like, we already have billions of dollars, so we're just doing this on the side. So yeah, just trying to be like, yeah, oh, we're making a new one. It's pretty cool. That's what are you talking about?
Yeah. It sounds like Uber, but for oat milk. Like there's no lot. It's gobbledygook. Who is going to be like, I really wanted Netflix, but the payment system was just too straightforward.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no market for this sort of thing. You're not gonna. Who is like, I need illegal money to fund my Cheers reruns?
Is there a way I can pay for this Netflix with untraceable cash that does it's exclusively digital? Why do you even
Who would
have
have thought
Bitcoin?
that just like
Yeah, I'm just trying to diversify out of my child selling ring into Spotify.
I mean, who would have thought that just going like, why don't we have a new currency wouldn't really pan out super well?
Oh God! So basically, there was this guy, but there was a big wig. There's always behind every villain. There's always like a white dude who's really running the show, right? Usually in like in an action movie, he has like salt and pepper hair.
Right. This is the
like
Fire Festival all over again.
This is the Fire Festival all over again.
Right. T.I. and Ja Rule, it's the same. You got the stalking horse out front for the brand.
Right. So there's this film producer named Ryan Felton, and film producers notoriously clean guys. They're
man.
Money's always coming from good places.
Oh yeah.
So he basically the lawyer for T.I. said that the rapper never received $1 from Mr. Felton's failed venture and immediately removed his name from it once he learned that the project was undeveloped, basically. So he had no idea is what he's saying for what it is. After he promoted this product, Felton allegedly used the money from its investment from the investors to buy a Ferrari, $1 million home, diamond jewelry, and other luxury goods. Felton is now being charged by the Department of Justice, whereas T.I. just has to settle with the SEC, so a little bit lighter of a sentence. Yeah, that's the big bad boy is Mr. Felton.
Well, we'll see what happens. I'd like to see what does it mean, David? He just has to something with the SEC.
Pays $75,000.
Oh, you mean he has to pay 75 racks? There you go.
Yeah,
perfect.
Or a van and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I got this excellent van that you might like.
Anyways, I'm glad that before we move on from the subject, I just want to congratulate all of us. None of us did a pun on his songs. We're way beyond cable, man. We have a totally different brand. And speaking of brands, climate change. Yeah.
I already explained this. I like Ludacris. Ludacris is my Atlanta rapper choice. Person to, I don't know. Is there anyone? I mean, he's the funnest.
Yeah, I really love Ja Rule. I think that his involvement in Fire Festival is fucking hilarious. I think that's where is Ja Rule from Atlanta though? I don't want to.
No, he's from New York. He's from New York.
Oh, yeah, he's got that accent too.
Yeah. He's from New York. Gabe, do you have a preferred early 2000s rapper?
I'm a big Atlanta fan. I like Outkast. Big Outkast boy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Aquemini, AT Aliens.
Yeah. Outkast out. Yeah. And just before we go any further, apparently like somebody saw Andre 3000 like at a gas station last week with like a flute, and he was just hanging out.
He's a real artist.
They walked up to him and he's got like speckles of like gray in his hair and his afro now and stuff, but he had like a traditional African flute, and they were like, Andre 3000. He's just like, hey man, what's up? And he's just hanging out with this crazy flute.
That dude pioneered like Sensi Boy rap lyrics like 5 or 6 years before Drake even was born.
I blame the sensitive rap all on Kanye.
Oh. Yeah, I blame neurotic rap on Kanye.
Sure.
But, I don't know. Anyways. Neurotic, sensitive, we're just talking about the co-host of Ponzi Scream at this point. So, we have the next big thing. Oh yeah, sure.
Oh, that's all right.
I think you sound pretty good to me, but it's up to Danny.
Do we want to record this just in case?
Yeah, as long as is it recording? Is your
I'm not recording this.
No, I'd say like I know because it would say like the little the
Sure.
little. Yeah. No, I was gonna say is your field recorder? Did it turn off or something, or can you just? Yes, we would need it turned off. Okay, cool. Yeah, then we definitely. You would want to. We would either need Gabe to push the record feature on this first before we go further.
I'm doing it now.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, we're good now. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have to press anything?
Yeah, no. If your recorder isn't working, or if it's like not functioning perfectly, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, that was really nice. I just want to live in that segment for the rest of the day. I just want to go back to thinking about TI and a silly thing, this fraudulent cryptocurrency scheme, and unfortunately, we got to go to something a little less cool. The CFTC came out with a climate report, basically on the financial risks posed by climate change. This sort of stuff happens, and from what I understand, comes out semi-frequently, these sorts of reports. What I think is kind of newsworthy about it is, first off, what is going on right now, just with California and everything else, and just how egregious climate change has become. But also, this is a Trump administration CFTC, and we all know Trump's position on climate change. It doesn't bear worth repeating. But so the findings of the report basically say, the fundamental finding is that financial markets will only be able to channel resources efficiently, this is from the report directly, to activities that reduce greenhouse gas emissions if an economy-wide price on carbon is in place at a level that reflects the true social cost of those emissions.
So, wait, but that just sounds like a carbon tax.
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
This is it. We truly live in extraordinary times because, like, you're gonna get to a point where there's like crazy, massive forest fires, and right, like in the wake of the forest fires, like right where the fire stops, there's gonna be like loggers, literally like cutting down the trees, just being like, "What? It was gonna be burned. This is fine. I could take this tree now." And like that's what we're gonna turn into eventually.
Looters, like climate looters, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, the funny thing being, like, they're not technically wrong. Like the tree, the tree would.
It's like
would have.
Yeah, I mean, this is eco organ harvesting.
Right.
You know, because if you're like, well, this person's gonna die. They're in the car crash. We need their pupils. We need their corneas. We need their livers. We need their sweet breads. And same thing with these forests. I mean, it was going to get plowed over anyway.
Yeah, they should really do a remake of Fern Gully where where the loggers are just like, look, it's either logging or fire. Those are your options.
God.
Or like the berries beat the loggers and then just get burnt to death.
Yeah. That's oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, that the whole carbon tax thing, somebody came out publicly as being like, the guy, the Delaware senator who's being challenged.
Chris
that was
Coons.
His thing. Chris Coons. He's like one of those sort of stooges who was like doesn't really do anything, and his whole thing on climate change was just like, well, what we got to do is implement a carbon tax, and like that was like the only answer that he had.
It's been talked about for so long, and I think that one thing we're going to talk about a little bit later is just how cheap talk really is when you're talking about action on climate change and action on the environment. And so there's always these things that are just like, we as the central finding of this report is that climate change could pose systemic risks to the U.S. financial system. And, the CFTC, the Commodities Future Trading Commission, regulates commodities. They're regulating, as you guys rightly pointed out, timber, coal or gold or any other, frozen orange juice if you're into the movie trading places. And then they so they're saying that these poses all these risks. It also says that there's going to be these subsystemic shocks, right? And that could also like leak downstream. That could really just ruin vulnerable people, community banks, all these people that have money that's tied up intricately with the rest of the economy, and the poor are going to get hurt the most. But what are they going to do about it, right? Like, it's just kind of the report comes out, something gets said, and then we have no idea who's going to do anything with this.
I mean, I know what I need to happen, and this is the thing. We got to think outside the box. We need to have a vanguard of revolutionary TikTokers reintroduce beavers to the West, because beavers are the original terraformers. They're a keystone species. Wherever you put them, they create reservoirs of water, and that's what we need in this drought-ridden environment.
Whoa. Beavers.
Yeah, beavers.
I think
I didn't see that in the report.
Oh yeah. Guess what they don't have on the commission? This guy right here.
Yeah, I think
I didn't see anything about beaver armies in the report.
I don't know. I think climate change, like and like carbon emission reduction and whatever. I don't know. It depends on what. I think people actually react. They react differently based on the natural disaster. Like wind, hurricane stuff. People are kind of deadened to, even though they're really destructive. Floods, and that's a little bit more effective. But fire, people are still viscerally afraid of fire. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, I don't know. I think any kind of like actual change based off of like reducing carbon emissions will be intrinsically linked to how close you are to the fire, essentially. Right. I mean, like real talk. I really think they're gonna it's gonna be, if anything happens, it's going to be based on a very regional scale, specifically based on how you could be affected by a certain elemental,
Well, why would anybody build a house in a zone where there's going to be fires endemic?
They can't afford it otherwise.
Yeah, and then also, who's going to pay insurance on that house? And how is there going to be a fire department anymore? We just saw that the fire departments are woefully unprepared because they depend entirely on slave labor of incarcerated people to volunteer, and none of that's working anymore for California.
Volunteers is a strong word, but But I mean, where are these homes going to get built? Actually, I saw Joe Biden had a pretty good clip that was like, we shouldn't be talking about like, Trump talks about like racial integration destroying the suburbs, but what's destroying the suburbs? Wildfires are destroying the suburbs. Floods are destroying the suburbs. Hurricanes are destroying the suburbs. Climate change is like the biggest threat to the suburbs that you can imagine. It's a pretty good line, man. Not gonna lie, I thought it was pretty good.
But he has some good ones.
Don't the suburbs also create climate change? Like, we just have to get rid of them anyway.
Yes.
So nature is killing the thing that is changing nature, because it's these single family houses and the sprawl and the automobile culture that is a huge carbon emission in and of itself, and just a waste of resources. And so
I mean, that's really the biggest thing. It's like, as much as I'd love to believe that like people are ignoring or don't believe in climate change because they've been brainwashed solely by Republicans, like as much as I'd love to believe that, it really is more like, no, there's a certain expectation of comfort that
Yeah.
a lot of middle and upper middle class Americans have that like just isn't sustainable if we're fighting climate change like in a real way. And like to tell people, but it's like it's the one thing that really freaks people out is if you tell them like, hey, you having a lawn might be counterproductive to us fighting this. People lose their shit. So it's like, you know, and it's like because it's like you're basically attacking like my fundamental rights if you tell me that like my lawn is a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like it's really that, and it's like I don't know if it's even possible to change that attitude like through like party politics, you know. It just seems like it's so ingrained in the American identity that it's like I don't know how you even begin to change it.
Like I don't even think about, you know, so many people are rolling their eyes or wringing their hands at like Trump's response to the fires. And I guess he's the leader of our country, but Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, and did he not predict that there would be fires? And weren't there fires last year and fires the year before that? And who was the governor before that was Jerry Brown. Did these people who are Democrats not know that this sort of like laissez-faire, infinite sprawl, unregulated development was going to cause this problem?
And ultimately, like, they have to confront capital because, like, what is preventing, people from living in more urbanized spaces at an affordable price? But like the real estate industry,
right? Dianne Feinstein, unregulated, deregulated rental in San Francisco, making it uninhabitable for poor people. And this started way back in the late 70s and early 80s. And her husband was a huge real estate developer. So this goes all the way back to like all of our pantheon of democratic heroes.
Yeah. But when Kamala Harris says her husband, being a corporate lawyer doesn't impact her at all, I believe her. But like, there's just other. It just keeps on happening that like eventually you have to have an adversarial relationship to the forces that are causing this, not just have a kind of let's like tweak some things here to create these incentives for this new thing. It's like no, there has to be an adversary. And limiting that adversary to make these sorts of changes possible. And one of the reasons why these sorts of like woke moves, putting Black Lives Matter on the street in New York City, is because it's cheap. It's a cheap, easy thing to express rights for someone whose inhibition costs nothing to anybody.
Right.
Here's what I'm thinking about, David. We have to paint trees all over the Exxon Mobil gas stations.
Nice.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
That shit is green and clean, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have their whatchamacallit, their big sign that shows the gas prices, and you're just like, no, it's like the Christmas tree in fucking Rockefeller Square. We'll just like fucking staple on some branches, and it'll just be like $2.50 for octane 91. It'll be great.
Well, I feel like the equivalent to that, like in climate change terms, is like. And I feel like people have started to see through this. It's like, look, obviously, like, yeah, you should recycle. Like, you should do all these things. You shouldn't litter. Like, there are all of these, like, community efforts that people are encouraged to do. But that, like, at some point, like, people just it kind of got, like, conflated with, like, for a long time, that was, like, conflated with, like, stopping climate disaster, right? It's like, oh, just do your part. Just do your part as a community member, and we can stop, these massive changes that are really a result of, like, policy and systemic activity, right? It's like, but it's like for a long time, people were just convinced that like, oh yeah, you can stop this. It's like if you recycle your bottles and stuff.
I know. I just think of like one ant. Like if we're all individual ants and we're all given our own missions, but we're not working in tandem. It's like that, like one ant at the beach trying to like build a sandcastle or just like a dike or something to keep the water from coming in.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
maybe a beaver, an ant.
One lone beaver doesn't work, guys. You need to have a squad of beavers. And I'm dead serious about this. North America, the climate in North America was radically changed by the almost extinction of beavers when the French came here and trapped them all. Before that,
everything goes back to the fucking French, man. It all goes back.
Gabe, are you working for the beaver lobby? Like, what's going on
dude?
here?
I work for Big Beaver, which is actually a huge problem for the suburbs. One reason that beavers aren't allowed to come back out is because when they start flooding areas, they flood cul-de-sacs and track home areas.
Oh yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Dude, they're
that's praxis.
Yeah, they're Antifa.
Beavers are Antifa.
You know where Nike is headquartered?
Seattle.
Beaverton, Oregon.
What?
That's right. That's right.
Dude, kill all the beavers and then name the town after them. Why don't you?
That's right. Actually, so I had this thought though. I think they always try to place, as far as like climate, like how do we solve this problem? But they always do try to place the onus on like the individual consumer or user, and like not to get too in the weeds about it, but it's like very much like infrastructural construction and what have you. Like when people create a road, or when a government creates a road, they don't even take into factor what cars, like what individual cars do to roads, because it is infinitesimally, it doesn't matter. Bicycles doesn't matter. The only thing they take into consideration are trucks, because like if you have a like like a 10-ton truck or whatever, it does like 400 times more damage than a single car will do. Like a bicycle does like 0.004 damage of what a car will do, and that's what we are. 4, yeah, and like that's what we are. We're all the little bicycle and stuff, and it's just sort of this deviation when there's all this marketing and just sort of like onus to be like, you're the individual consumer, don't use that plastic bag, that's going to solve the problem, when in reality it's like, wait a minute, don't these giant gas companies like just absolutely flood this shale rock to get like this small amount of oil in it that then causes Oklahoma to have earthquakes afterwards? Like, what?
Didn't BP invent like the term carbon footprint? That was yeah,
maybe that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I saw that on Twitter. Ergo, it must be real. But like that BP was one of like their kind of like marketing thing was one of they were responsible for the conceptualization of calculating your individual carbon footprint. So
as long as the print looks like delicate and dainty, and you've got 5 little bubble toes on each print, that really markets to the foot fetishists like myself over here.
Oh yeah,
I like a cute carbon footprint.
Yeah. But I want to get into an actual seemingly corporate fraud and cover-up that's been going on, very related to this, that just came out in NPR this week, and it was about the recycling of plastic. And big, huge, groundbreaking story that basically came to the conclusion that we have never recycled plastic. And it is
hey buddy, I could have told you that.
It has just never been happening, and it seemingly never will happen. And
why? My roommates always think that I sound like Alex Jones when I tell them, don't worry, who cares where you put it? Who cares if you put it in the blue bag or not? It all goes to the same landfill. And they're like,
who cares?
What? You're a cynical monster, Gabe. What are you talking about? And like now NPR is telling us that I've been right all along.
Well, when I think of
but they put the little symbol on it.
Yeah. When I think of a really black-pilled organization, I think of NPR. So maybe they're just super accelerationists with this story. But like, no, so that, I mean, Lucy, that's exactly right. They put this little symbol on all the plastics, and the whole purpose of that was to mislead people into thinking that they were being recycled. Okay? Tin, metal, aluminum, as far as I can tell, still is getting recycled. But plastic, because it is, there's a few reasons that the article cites. And they like interviewed like this journalist who wrote the story, Laura Sullivan and Sarah Gonzalez, I think. Or no, it was just Laura Sullivan. She interviewed a former spokesperson for the plastics industry, big lobbyist kind of person, and
big plastic.
And the guy they interviewed is retired now and bikes around in his sort of idyllic retirement community in Florida.
Hell yeah!
And feels really bad. Is shedding crocodile tears for.
Dude, I love the oil industry where like Greenpeace or whatever, like they they'll see an executive and they'll maybe like throw a bucket of oil on him. I just imagine taking this guy and just hitting him with a fire hose of like Poland Spring bottles. Just like, he's just like
yeah, just going.
Honestly, guys, like this is making me really sad. I was really hoping that this cup maybe had like 100 previous lives. Like maybe one year it was a Poland Spring bottle. Maybe another year it was part of a dildo.
Right.
Like,
Lucy, that feels like you're into the concept of reincarnation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Lucy, in a very Buddhist sense, you're right. But outside of that, you're wrong. It's really. So they cite the industry cites like why they didn't recycle these things, right? And they say that it is much more expensive than just making plastic out of crude oil. They said that the science isn't fully there. Okay, they just they just can't actually do it. They can't in some ways it's just taking the degraded plastic and refabbing it into a dildo coffee cup is just it's just the plastic isn't stable enough. So
the dildo would fall apart upon re-entry.
Yeah. Can you imagine a recycled dildo just getting stuck in your loved one's orifice? I mean, just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of your family members.
Think of your father.
It's so crazy that like this is just coming out now, because it's like I remember being a kid and watching these like, in school, like they show you these like hour-long documentaries where it's like some guy in a hard hat walking through a plastic recycling plant.
That was paid for by the plastic industry. They talk about this. It's crazy. Like the whole industry paid for Lucy's elementary school science class.
And this is how they'd show shots of it and be like, this is the process. This is how we're recycling it into new material. And it's like, it's almost like every piece of corporate propaganda I've ever watched was a lie.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah,
man.
So you're one thing you're bringing up, David, is that all of these different plastic products, in our mind, they've done a really good job. Big Recycling has done a good job of conflating that the strawberry plastic container and the milk container and my CD cases are all the same, so I can put them all in the same bag.
Mm-hmm.
But we would need to be able to sort every one of these items individually to have them be recycled, because each type of plastic is different.
Right. And they oftentimes have different parts to them, right? Like the AirPods are like kind of the most modern example of a product that cannot be thrown away because it is too dangerous and is too combined with other things such that it can't be recycled. Yeah, AirPods have like there's like some battery acid in them that would be like really, really harmful to a landfill if you didn't take it to get recycled. But if you got the technology recycled like how you would recycle a printer, they can't separate them because there's too much other, like, it's like metal, battery acid, plastic, other kinds of plastic, other kinds of metal, all mixed together into this little pod that is just, it's all commingled, and separating that is almost foolish.
You need a lot of nimble fingers to do that, which is why we need more child labor.
Right.
What happens is a lot of that shit just ends up literally in Africa, in some of the poorest countries there, in these fields of like e-waste, essentially, that doesn't get recycled. It just literally gets burned. It gets burned by like African people who are just are like recycling it when they burn off all the plastic, and then they just get to all of the precious metals like the cadmium and the copper and the gold and stuff like that. So like our version of recycling, especially when it gets to those weird hard plastics, is like, oh yeah, we're setting this shit on fire, buddy. I'm about to give a kid cancer in some way. Yeah, like that's what's happening.
Hey, that's some high quality toxic smoke they're producing. Okay, there's a lot of uses for that. Essential oils, incense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all true. And then the last reason that Sullivan in this article talks about why the recycling industry would not recycle plastic is just because the plastic industry is owned by the oil industry, and
yes,
they have zero incentive to if oil extraction is your business, then recycling is a competitor to your business model. And so they have an adverse incentive to produce their own competitor. So they're never going to implement safe recycling ever, because that cuts into their bottom line.
Oh, wait. Okay. So I have a question, if we can go backwards a little bit. So what was all the fake recycling? Like, what was happening? Like, there's like plants, obviously, that exist where something's happening. So what's that?
Good question.
Is it just like North Korea, where it's like you go into a restaurant, where like when the media goes into a restaurant,
yeah,
they like fill it up with people to make it look like it's real?
Yeah.
Well, at some point, it was legitimate that you can recycle a couple plastic pieces. And they they cite an example of a guy who had a recycling plant that did mostly metals, but then at a loss, he would recycle some plastics. And then there was the specific year that the oil companies started coming up with their recycling propaganda and putting recycling labels on everything. And that year, this guy's facilities got flooded with unusable plastics. And then they shipped them to China. So we had to deal with China, and then it was like, well, hear no evil, see no evil, whatever. China's magically turning this shit into General Tso's chicken. Like they, we just pushed we kicked the problem down to another continent. And now that China has refused to take our trash anymore for the last 2 years, we're starting to see that they were just like burning or burying it, because we have no technology to handle this stuff.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to be the person who's just sort of like, we just need to innovate our way out of this. But there is no incentive currently for these companies that would be able to recycle something like this to try to be able to recycle it, So when you get fucking losers in Congress and whatever who are like, you tell us that we can't send trash over to China. There's no money there. We can't do it. It doesn't cost. It's too cost ineffective. We'll make it cost effective, you fucking loser. Like it's like it was only cost effective to like ship all of our shit over there because they were like in development and still industrializing, and now they're like no more. So it's like, fucking do something. Like, it has to be done. It's like, you can make it cost effective. All right. If it's like cost effective for Elon Musk to sell his like giant like battery cars and get like a green what's it called, like where you get a tax incentive, like
tax credit. What founded Tesla in the first place, by the way.
Yeah. Like if you could get $9,000 off your fucking giant, California Camry from, because, and which is on its own thing, the precious metals that go into those batteries, hugely extractive and like destructive. Right. Then you can make it so people make money, and it is at least a break-even operation to just recycle. like figure it the fuck out.
Well, like the CFTC climate report says, we need to internalize all climate externalities. That's what this would be.
Yeah.
Flat
that's
out.
Internalization.
Yeah. And so, like, everyone talks a lot. Regulators talk a lot. The industry talks a lot. And now they're basically saying the exact same thing that they said in the 90s, which is we are working towards it. We are developing the technology. It's just hard, but we're, mea culpa. We're doing our best. And
I mean, sorry.
Talk is cheap. That's all I'm saying, like,
yeah. I mean, this might be a dumb question, but like, why can't, like, the part of the issue, right, is that like none of these things are really like sorted specifically enough that they're recyclable or that they're usable. Like, can't we just pay a bunch of people to sort all this shit?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Like, can't this just be a public works project where it's like, hey, we need people sorting this plastic so that it doesn't all get burned into the air and it doesn't choke us all to death? Like, why don't we just like hire some motherfuckers to sort the shit?
Yeah,
like,
the COVID unemployed.
Yeah,
but like also you could just pass a law that says any plastic produced must be recyclable. Done.
Mm-hmm.
And you say,
right,
you have 3 years, make every single thing recyclable. We all have auditors, enforcement, and all this sort of stuff. You have to make it recyclable. Every single product, packaging, shipping, any hard product that is made, any hardware that is made also must be recyclable in a reasonable and universal way. And just a law that just says that would be a start.
And then we all go back to wearing burlap sacks.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is like all the people who make this stuff, they're going to be like, oh, you're going to stop our whole process. Our workflow is going to be fucked up because of it. And it's like, I have visceral memories from the early 2000s going into a Costco with my mom, going to their electronics section and seeing SD cards for sale. And they were literally in packaging this big. Yep. Like it was a bathroom key at a cafe because it was supposed to stop people from stealing it, and made specifically out of that impossible plastic that is really difficult to cut open and stuff like that. It's like, this is a quick fix. This is some of these things are not stifling innovation. And even further to your point, David, about how people like there's never actually been meaningful recycling of this stuff. That has always sort of been in the background, and has sort of been heightened specifically by like the Great Pacific Island garbage patch, which is mostly small plastics. And when you have environmentalists and people actually going into it and analyzing it, they're basically finding these tiny little pieces of plastic, and they're like, wait a minute, this is from 1975. Like very truly, they're finding shit that's 50 years old.
I like to call that stuff
It really is a majestic place.
I like to call those little bits Peter Thiel's koi fish. That is going to be his little private island soon. It's exactly what he wants and exactly what he deserves. It is a frightening thing, and for a consumer, you just kind of want to think, what can you do as a consumer, right? And
I mean, honestly, that's another law that could be helpful, is if in addition to the law you're suggesting, there's also an amendment where any CEO of a company that produces unrecyclable plastic has to live on a garbage patch.
Dude, it's the size of France. Not even a joke. I did a whole research thing into it. That garbage patch is the size of France, so you can go live on garbage Nice. It'll be good for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go gambling in the soda bottle Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
With my friend, a dying seal. He's really good. He's really, really canny. Yeah, I mean, so now once this comes out, the story came out, it seems like the executives are all just kind of saying the exact same thing at the 90s, which is whenever they get bad PR, they basically just say, we hear you, we see you, we're trying, and then maybe implement some superficial change and then do nothing, continue on. And this is a huge problem with the media, is that we just don't really, there's so many horrible things all happening at once. We have a requirement to cover it all, but in the meantime, that just passes the buck from industry to industry of people being like, "Oh, we're dealing with guns right now. Okay, plastic industry is just not gonna. We heat's off us now." So now let's deal with the financial sector.
What I'm thinking about is like the big problem with the fires in California and in Oregon and Washington is that it's all houses burning down, houses full of plastic, and that's what's going to be killing everybody who's breathing in the air in 5 years. Like everybody who's out there is now being poisoned by these heavy metals and the plastics in the air. More than just the hickory flavor of the trees.
Also, I did a little research just very quickly, and it looks like I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was you. I think you said it, Gabe, where British Petroleum, BP, first promoted and soon popularized the term carbon footprint in the early aughts. The company unveiled its carbon footprint calculator in 2004, so one could assess how their normal daily life, going to work, buying food, and air travel,
counting calories,
is largely responsible for heating the globe. And a decade and a half later, carbon footprint is everywhere, which is like, yeah, we should probably not be flying as much. That's one thing. But I guarantee you all the executives of every one of those fucking Fortune 500 companies is just like cruising in, those.
It's like, sorry, I took a plane ride to like visit my dying grandma or whatever.
Yeah.
You just fly. You fly between across state lines.
Yeah, my helicopter from the Hamptons back to downtown Manhattan every day.
Right.
I'm sorry that they didn't build an Amtrak line to a town that I live in that doesn't have an Amtrak station. Like, you can't.
Dude, that would be so fucking funny if because that was one of the things that like Jeff Bezos wanted when they were trying to get Amazon in New York City. Is like, I need a helipad from Long Island City to like somewhere else. That was one of the conditions. And I would love it if one of these centibillionaires was just like, I want a train. I'm building a train. I'm building a whole train right from here to somewhere else.
Train network. Yeah, I would like that too. I would like trains. I love trains. I think that was like maybe one of the things that made me a socialist was just the idea of a nationalized train line.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I'm a train boy.
I mean, dude, it's a start. It would be hilarious if you had fucking, Warren Buffett be like, oh, yes, I made a train. I made my own train. It's going directly with no other stops from fucking Allentown to Flushing, Queens. That's it. It's one straight line. It's like, okay, that's something. I think that sort of helps.
Honestly, like that is. There are little moments where it's like you just have to appreciate like the brilliance of propaganda, and like the carbon footprint thing. It's just perfect. It's like you couldn't like conceive of a more beautiful, like elegant piece of propaganda. Right, it's like it has a very like crunchy granola kind of name. Mm-hmm. It's perfectly suited to create a sense of competition. Like you get those human interest stories about like meet the man who got his carbon footprint down to 0.
Oh yeah.
It's like as if like he's just gonna have like a perfect patch of clean air. in the center of all the smog.
Well, it's like,
like
Lucy, like it's just greenwashing. And I think about this when it comes to food. Like I walk into the bodega and there's identical plastic bottles that are all lining the wall. And then some of the plastic bottles say Coca-Cola, but next to it is a plastic bottle that says gratitude tea. And it's organic. And then next to that's another tea that's called it's called Inspire. And
Guys.
you're now buying the same garbage, but the people sucking down those drinks that say like health and friendship feel better about themselves, even though they're putting the exact same toxic plastic into the unrecyclable.
And then they scold.
Yeah, scold.
And then they scold people who can't afford that.
right.
And it's like, really, the whole time, Honest Tea is owned by PepsiCo, which is actually true. Which is, I think, it's one of the nice little ironies of the whole greenwashing movement.
Yeah, and the difference in profit from these giant multinationals is like infinitesimally small compared to like what they're doing. Like I remember it happened in this last year. Fucking Snapple went from glass bottles to plastic bottles, and I was just sort of like, "What the fuck, man? Who cares?" It was a nice glass bottle. It was a nice but you had to fuck it up. It was like it was even part of its Snapple's own unique like marketing. It's like, yes, it's the best stuff on earth in this nice little glass bottle. And then they're just like, no, it's plastic now. Isn't that great? And not only are they offering you less fucking Snapple, but it's now in this like unbiodegradable thing, and it's because it cost 1 cent less as opposed to than when they were doing with glass.
No, you're right. It was part of their marketing campaign that you hear the little pop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glass bottle, the little pop.
Yeah.
It's like you just fucking tank that so you could sell it in some plastic shit.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Yeah.
No, it was like. Also, I heard somewhere that glass recycling isn't good.
Right.
That you actually shouldn't be glass recycling for two reasons. One, it's like incredibly dangerous for the workers who have to like actually be at the facilities because ouchie. And
broken glass everywhere.
Yeah. And then also glass is made of sand, and sand ain't going nowhere. Like there's so much fucking sand. It really is almost a renewable resource based off of how much there is and how we will never really run out. There's an entire half of a continent that is just sand.
Yeah,
it's just sand. Yeah,
and you can also just tell by how evasive these people are about the recycling process. Because if you go onto YouTube and you just look up aluminum recycling, YouTube's like, yes, we will show you aluminum recycling. It's like everybody who's just like a little bit off is just like, yes, this is how you skim the scale off of the aluminum, and then they turn it into a big monolith, and then they recycle it. It's aluminum, but plastic. It's like it's totally obfuscated. I have no idea how.
We have a secret recipe, and we can't share it on YouTube. We'll direct you to our Vimeo, but you need a password.
Did you say that you wanted? Did you say the type that you wanted to see the best moments from Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah.
It just redirects you to top 10s.
Yeah. Good shit. I love it. Well, we're all gonna die. I guess. I don't know.
I feel good. I'm fine, man. I mean, I feel good.
I will say one thing that's like kind of interesting about this is the only real action that I've seen that's material in the past 5 years on climate change has been through capitalism, actually, and that has been through like the growth of ESG investing, basically, right? It's the environmental, social governance investing, which is mostly renewable energy, but also has a lot of other like. It's like an investment filter that people can choose to apply to their investments that have that screen for certain ethical practices, such as use of renewable energy or a diverse corporate board or fair labor practices or whatever. And it has become huge It is like 1 out of every $4 invested these days has some sort of ESG overlay. And it is not that, I'm sure huge amounts of it is greenwashed, right? They say it's good. But
Yeah.
But when you have the CEO of BlackRock, which is this $8.6 trillion money manager, saying they are going to go all in on fighting climate change and divesting their portfolio from fossil fuels. It's a big deal. Like, that is so much more, in my opinion. We brought on a journalist to talk about this and like compare
Kate
Aronoff, to talk about like this versus the Paris Climate Accord. And we all want to agree, like all of us, we want to think that governments can implement these things better. But if you think on an empirical basis, if BlackRock follows through on their promises, they will have reduced carbon emissions so much more than anything that Paris could have done.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's very greenwashed, but I mean, at least they're saying it. I mean, I'll trust it when it happens.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But like, it's just kind of it's a pretty big statement. I don't know. I mean, and now he said that, and then 2 months later, oil shares are plummeting. Basically, coronavirus really hit the oil sector. One of the biggest exchange-traded funds, ETFs, was called, U.S. Oil, I think is what it's called, and it just plummeted to the point where the shareholders had to sue. This was like in April or May. We talked about it a little bit, but like, oil is really permanently hit by coronavirus and by basically the entire financial sector realizing that there is money to be made in renewable energy and in woke investing. And it's a perverse incentive, and it's not the incentive that should exist. But if you have two big bad boys fighting against each other, and one of them is saying that the other one is bad, and that one wins, in a very narrow sense, there is one less bad boy. And
technically,
right? Like
Yeah.
Like if Ted Cruz beat Donald Trump being gone, there would be no Donald Trump. You'd still have Ted Cruz, but you have that. I don't know. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's nice. I don't know.
I mean, it's a big we'll see right now. We really just have to wait and see. And in the interim, you might be having people who are literally trying to chop down trees as a forest fire is chasing them. So yeah.
Those are the big beaver lobbyists. All right, well, that's all I got. Anything else that you guys can think of?
No, it feels good.
Nah, I'm good.
I'm still on team. I'm still Team Beaver over here. So whatever.
All right, Lucie, anything you want to plug or say?
Yeah.
Hey, you can follow me on Twitter at the Steinbag if you feel like it. No pressure.
No pressure.
That's a good answer.
We love it.
There's a little bit of pressure. A little bit.
Yeah.
It's good pressure.
Yeah.
Well, that's for you boys. I don't know. You know where we are. That's it, man. That's it. That's the show. Thanks for listening. Gabe, when's your next show?
My show is every Wednesday night at 9:30, Funhouse Comedy, and it's on Zoom. And you can find it by going to my Instagram, GabePac1, GabePac1, or Funhouse Comedy, which is also just Funhouse Comedy, one word, on Instagram.
Okay.
And that I would just again remind people, please stop ordering milkshakes on Uber Eats. Just please stop. It's really not. You're gonna get a bad version of whatever milkshake you want. All right, It's going in my bag.
Oh, I want to
stop.
I want to say one additional thing. Sorry, is that if you get a paper straw and a plastic lid, what's causing the paper straw to break is the fact that the plastic lid is jiving into it. If you if you push down the little like corners of the plastic lid, the paper straw won't deteriorate as quickly.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's such a good
Life
tip.
hack.
Thank you.
Yep, life hack. That'll save the planet right there. All right, guys. Okay, bye.
Bye. That was
All
great.
right. Bye. Later. Bye.